are from Germany. So, yes. Okay, good.
Alle sprechen Deutsch hier. Ich werde auch Deutsch sprechen. Okay, can I start?
Yeah.
I don't have the...
Sowfair.
Oh, it's not the same for you? Or is that something different?
Okay, so good morning everyone. My name is Marian. I am the co-founder of Sowfair. Sowfair is a certificate, but it's much more than that. It's actually a movement to restore forests and their biodiversity through the promotion of a sustainable production and consumption culture. So before I start talking about Sowfair, I want to talk a little bit about me and how I came to develop Sowfair. So I studied public administration in Brazil. I'm actually from Brazil, not from Germany. I study in Germany now. And during my bachelor's, I studied in this university, Hochschule. That's the University for Sustainability Management in Germany. So all these sustainable enterprises there actually sponsor and support and are partner from this university. And I had such a great experience learning, rethinking economics there that I decided I wanted to come back to Germany for my master's. So I finished my bachelor's the second best of my year and got a scholarship to go to Germany. Yeah, but I'm studying now at the Leuphana University, which is also well known and rewarded for both entrepreneurship and sustainability. And I'm studying public economics, law, and politics there. So my first months in Germany, I found this book in the library and read it, and I got really, really inspired by Yuna's ideas. So let me make you a parenthesis here and explain you a little bit. When I was young and during my whole bachelor's, I believed that actually the market was the blame and was responsible for all the bad things were happening in the world, social, environmental, financial problems. So I spent 6 months writing my bachelor thesis and researching and writing bad things about the market until I read, and I realized that actually the market and the government are just a reflection of society. And if we want to change something, we have to actually change society. And then I remember what an anthropologist professor of mine told me. There are two main paths to change society. One, you change mentality and culture in order to change the behaviors, or you change actions and behavior in order to change the culture. The problem with changing culture is that it's a long-term process of education. And the good thing about action is that it can be taken now. So if the government is a rigid and a bureaucratic place for actions to take place, the market is a really, really open and flexible one. And Yunus for me was just a perfect example of how the market and the business could be used to transform in a good way the society. Well, reading this book, I also found out about Grumman Creative Lab, and because I wanted to get more close to the social business, I decided I wanted to work there. And then I did a 2-month internship and helped to organize the European Social Business Forum. There I got to know a lot of entrepreneurs and got inspired by them and realized that I didn't have to wait as I thought to have enough money, experience, networking to start my social business. All it took was the decision and the start. At the same time, I also found out about this competition, so I put a team together to participate. And what was failing was the problem before we developed. So we had to decide which problem we wanted to tackle, and that was for me the easiest task. Because, well, what I didn't say is I come from an island in the south of Brazil called Florianópolis. This island is 70 kilometers long. We have 42 beaches and a lot of mountains and forests. The problem is, these are all photos that I took. The problem is about half of the beaches now are so polluted that you can't go in the water. And year after year, preserved areas are given to companies to the construction of private real estate ventures. That's actually what I live. It was one day a beach, but today you can't bet there anymore. It's just a beautiful view for rich people. And so instead of forest, look what we have now. And deforestation is not just a problem in my island. You probably know Amazon, that's the lung of the planet. Well, 30% of Amazon got already deforested. But that's not the worst, that's what everybody knows. But actually there is another forest called Atlantic rainforest, which it's even worse. That was before originally, and that's now less than 7% left. That means 93% deforestation. So yeah, was my path and what brought me to want to tackle exactly this problem. But this problem doesn't touch just me, it touches the whole world. So half of the world's tropical forests have already been lost, and if we stay doing the rates that we are doing in 100 years, so the next generation won't have more forests. So 15 million hectares are deforested every year. That's 36 football fields per minute and 540 football fields while we are doing this presentation. So, but why are forests so important, and what are the consequences of deforestation? Well, forests lock 1/3 of all the world's stored carbon. Deforestation contributes to 15% of greenhouse gases emissions. 20% of the world's oxygens come from Amazon rainforest. 70% of South America's GDP depend on rain and water from the Amazon. The forests contain 80% of the world's biodiversity. Deforestation is causing disruption of water cycles, global warming, and soil erosion. So how can we revert deforestation? Like, I don't mean stop, but revert. I don't know if you have ever heard of agroforest systems, but I'll give you a small explanation. So agroforest systems are a model of agriculture who put together different species, different plants with trees. It looks more or less like this, that it mimics forest the way it is. Let me tell you a short story of a successful story. This guy, it's called, his name is Ernest. He is a Swiss guy, and he came to Brazil and buy 500 hectares of dried land. There is an index in Brazil for forests. 0 is no forest, and 10 would be the original forest. When he bought this 500 hectares, there was an index of 3.2. And after 10 years, look how it looked like. 7.8 in the index. How he did that? Through agroforest system. So that's not just the forest, he can sell and live from this. So this guy really, really inspired me, because it's a financial sustainable way of reverting deforestation. So I wanted to bring this in a much larger scale, and that's where Sowfair comes. Well, Sowfair, as I said, is a certificate, but the certificate is just the first step, so that people can identify the products that comes from agroforest systems and have the possibility to prioritize and support it. But Sowfair is actually a movement like the B Corp. Our vision is to transform the model of agriculture, and that agroforest systems are turned into a standard model of agriculture. That's our business model, but don't worry, I'm not going to present it like that, so let's go in parts. Our value proposition, as I said, a certificate and an association, that's the movement. And I'm not going to read it all that, but so that you know, one of our differentials, we're not going to have just a certificate, we're going to have levels of certificates, so that we can create incentives for the farmers that are just starting to already get into the movement, but also the ones that already have, that they have incentives to improve. And second differential in our value proposition is we're gonna give the possibility to the farmers to finance the certificate through our portfolio of partners. So our key activities will be create this pool of partners and search and certify farmers. These are our key partners that we already identified and contact. Well, we identified much more than that, but these ones we already have contacted in terms of networks of farmers, training partners, and financial partners. Well, our customer segments, we're going to start with cooperatives that already exist so we can reach more in less time, but we actually want to focus on small and family farmers. Our customer relationship is going to be really personal, so we want to make visits. But the most important thing I would say here is this regular member meetings. We want that farmers, the small farmers, get together. We want to incentive and push the cooperation between things so they have more force in the market. Then comes to finance. Our cost will be much more to formalize and standardize the certificate. Of course, a lot of human resource is needed for do the sensibilization. And how are we going to get money? So we wrote all the possibilities for us to make our revenue, but we don't necessarily need to do all of them. So the certificate has cost, the annual audit has cost, and when we put farmers and resellers together, we can take a percentage of that. We can take memberships, and we can do consultancy, so on and so forth. So how it will look like step by step. That's our business process. Again, not going to go through all of it, don't worry. So that you understand, there are three main processes. One is in order to create an offer of agroforest systems, that when we sensibilize the farmers. One is in order to promote a demand, so we're going to approach resellers, the market of carbon, cooperatives, everything to create incentives for these farmers to migrate, because they have costs on it, so they have to be sure that someone's going to buy and buy for a higher cost because they have the certificate, and there is a market there for them. And the second thing was, and the third thing is to establish an environment. So we want to create this movement, this association, to defend legal and commercial interests of agroforest system production. So coming back to our problem, deforestation. What are the causes of deforestation? 15 to 40% of the causes of deforestation are agriculture. And if we have agroforest system in Sowfair, we don't see this more as a threat, we see this as our market. And so that you understand, there's already studies on it. Agroforest systems can be till 40% more productive than traditional models of agriculture, and 30% more productive than cattle. So we can even transform cattle in agroforesters. And in the world, there are 38% of the world land is used for agriculture, and that's the size of our market in the long term, of course. So I want to finish with this sentence. So everybody thought it was impossible, and that's what most of my friends and family tell me, until someone came along that didn't know it was impossible and did it. So I just want to know that I want to be forever this person who doesn't know, because I'd rather try and fail than don't try it. And here I want to tell you about a deployment from one of the farmers that I visited when I was last time in Brazil. I was living, and he just told me, you know, don't give up, because there are a lot of people out there that don't know you, but are just waiting for the changes that you're gonna make. So yeah, that's my motto. Thank you very much.
Time for the question. Who would like to start?
Let's start. There you go. I'm going to be the first one then. I think it's nice, your presentation, but first comment, I think the first beginning you go to, the story was too long. I mean, at the beginning, you know, I'm saying, you know, the story about how you get involved in it. I mean, we're here for business. It's nice, but we're gonna know you, you know. But you have to. You talk about basically the business model. You don't talk a lot about it, and I want to see it. Why? Because I want to see if you can keep, you know, keep it alive. Though, I mean, it's nice. I think the big crops is a very good example. It works, you know, in cooperation. You know, if you can do it that way in agriculture, it will be awesome. But can you manage to make the best calculation? How much is it going to cost to get the certification? You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
All the process, the internationalization, all the legal process is gonna cost money.
Mm-hmm.
So how you want to do it? So do you want to discontinue fundraising, or how much gonna cost?
Well, I didn't already made all the financials there. One guy which is in my group is already working on an NGO doing something similar, but it's not financially sustainable. And he said that just the sensibilization part costed about 350,000 per year. Just these parts, they're just the costs.
It's pretty large money, you know.
Yeah.
You know, how are you gonna get it? You know, that's the question.
But that's how I showed the revenue. That's how we want to get it. Oh, here. Oops. Here. So, of course, the first to start with, we have to do a lot of research, and we still won't have any income. But I'm gonna write actually my master thesis, and I already do a partnership with a university in Brazil, which also have studies on this area. So I'm gonna be some months there, because I'm actually studying Germany now, to write my master thesis on the business plan. So I'm gonna do a lot of market analysis and all the stuff that's actually missing. I'm just working on it for 4 months.
Okay. But I think for me the proof of concept is nice, but you need to get on the ground, you know, get some started, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Not only have the idea concept, but
Yeah.
you know it costs a lot of money to get to that level. If you have a big company who support you, and I sure believe that's the way to start,
Mm-hmm.
you know, not Monsanto, but I didn't say nothing, you know, but the company will really concerned about that.
Mm-hmm.
I think by doing your thesis, you can start to look in partners that
Yeah. Partnership, of course, for us, it's something actually that I sprang the key resources. I put it at partners because in the beginning we don't have the money to do this, as I said, the sensibilization. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna outsource some of our process to partners. This we already have, so they are already, I already talked to them, and they're already willing to do the first pass, because there's a lot of NGOs doing sensibilization on agroforest systems. So in the beginning, we're going to work with that instead of doing it ourselves. We're going to work with cooperatives and NGOs that already exist. The problem with that, they're not financially sustainable. But as I said, one of our ideas is to create a whole portfolio. So we're going to approach really a lot of companies, a lot of food industry and everything, because if we want really to make this market growing, there is a lot of demand for these products.
What's the name of the guy who inspired you?
Ernest Good?
Have you met this man?
No.
You never met him. Have you tried to be in contact with this guy?
No, not yet. I went to some people who had courses with him.
Okay.
Because the course with him is really expensive.
Oh, I see. Because I feel like you could maybe try to get in touch with him and maybe help him somehow. Maybe he could help you also define your business model and give you very, very good insight on how to build a sustainable financial model. Because I don't know what his background is, but by seeing the change he made, I'm pretty sure he has a financial background. Because he understands how to build stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I think this could be something interesting. Because from what I see is, you have a good idea, but maybe having real on the field experience could be also a good add-on.
Yeah. Thank you.
On the finance side, somebody that's worth approaching, I think, for a project is Richard Branson, simply because he's an investor that looks a lot at organic food projects and certification projects, and it's very easy to approach him for somebody like you, because, believe it or not, he has this system on the internet where you can Skype pitch him, and it's called half-an-hour pitches, and you can send your pitch to him.
Really? Cool.
Yeah, and you can look it up. It's on, you can find the information on the internet.
Can I would you give me the name?
Yeah, Richard Branson is the founder of Virgin, and he's pretty rich. Yeah, he's really involved in sustainability. His big thing now is clean oceans, but he's also looking at farming, and I think it would be worth pitching him on this, because as Monsieur was saying, what is your name, sorry?
Brunner.
Brunner. The financial side is going to be very motivating to all involved if you have a little bit of capital here. Like once you're very clear about your idea, which you seem to be.
Thank you.
And then another organization that's the obvious one that's worth contacting to understand is but also fair trade. You know, like because they're going to give you an idea of like what they learned and what the hoops are to get through.
Yeah.
So I would also make an appointment with somebody there.
I'll do that.
It's a long world you have to do.
Yeah.
You
I know, but I'm willing
just
to
telling
do it.
you. You know?
I don't
Yeah.
care.
But it will worth it, you know. Will worth it. Some big stores in the look for that stuff. You know, they have the One Job Foundation.
Yeah.
They
La Liberté is
you know, La Liberté. So, you know, a lot of companies look for stuff like that. You know, but they will. If you have a nice presentation, you send it to them, and we'll start. And make sure you start building your team also. As he was proposing, you need people around you, not only you. You know.
We have now 4 people. Me and 1 3.
Okay, cool.
More questions? Well, thank you very much.